Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips, Perry Flips on Instagram with a Z, Pothead Picker on X. Flips and Giggles is the business name, so you can find that on Facebook, eBay, and then Whatnot. So that's the Flips and Giggles is the username for eBay and Whatnot. If you like the show, make sure you subscribe. Tell your friends, share the podcast. If you're a reseller and you think there's other resellers that might like the show, or other parents who might like the show, or just anybody who just might enjoy the show, let them know. Coming up on, we're creeping towards the 100th episode. I'm still trying to think of something to do for it. I just have not had time. I'm going to blink and it's going to be episode 99. I'm like, fuck, I didn't plan anything for the 100th episode. That's usually how it happens. If you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you know that I just have a million things going on and I forget. So, but I'm going to try. It's coming up. It's 2 years now. It's past 2 years. We talked about that last week. How I think it was like November 7th or something was 2 years of the podcast. So, yeah. So if you're around tonight, this episode should drop on Wednesday. Should be coming out in a couple hours on Wednesday, the 12th, November 12th. And this should be a show tonight. We're doing plush, stuffed animals and plush. I never know. I didn't realize, like, I had posted on a local group recently looking for stuff. It didn't go well. I talked about how it didn't go well. And I put plush. And I realized, like, later on in the day that somebody was like, hey, can I ask what plush is? Like, they commented on the thing, and I'm like, oh, I just am realizing now that not everybody knows what that is. So stuffed animals. Now I make sure to say stuffies, stuffed animals, plush, plushies. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, I just was saying that we have a plush sale tonight. So yeah, we've got a plush sale tonight. I wasn't sure what we were going to do. That's the only problem with Whatnot, is that we're like, fuck man, we've got like, you don't need like a ton of stuff to do a show, but like you kind of have to make it worth people's while. You know what I mean? If they show up to your show and you've got like 5 things, they can look pretty quickly and be like, oh, I don't need or want any of these things, and just dip out. So it's nice to have like a lot of things. So we went to like the thrift store, which I never fucking do. So I paid up a little bit on these plush. But we did the first time we went, because we went to a Savers last week. And they had like a ton of plush, actually. Like a decent amount of like mix of vintage and modern and like in decent shape. And so that stuff. So I had a coupon then, and then there was like a 30% off sale on clothes. So I got a couple things of clothes. And then this past a couple days ago, I was supposed to go to a sale, and it just didn't happen, or the sale was terrible. I can't remember what the reason was, but I ended up going to, I had to go pick up some free stuffies. So I was like, I might as well stop at the thrift store because there's one on the way out here. So I might as well stop here at this Savers and see. And I hate Savers. I only stop there when I have a coupon. So it was still 30% off clothes. So I got a couple of like vintage jackets that had just been put on the rack. They weren't even like taken off the rack to be put on like the rack yet. They were just like in limbo. And I just happened to walk by as they like pushed the rack and got distracted. So I got those, and then I got like a bunch more plush and stuffy. So that's going to get us through this show tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Our last show actually was probably like our best in terms of interaction. We had people, engaged. We had people like making jokes and in on the jokes, and like, I had somebody who was, who popped up, and I had a feeling that they were going to be a problem, and of course they were a problem. But like they popped up and like, they're like, oh, what's up the deal with this shipping? It's charging me blah, 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 blah. And all the shipping on Whatnot is automatic. Like you just put in the dimensions of the item, like not even the dimensions, just the weight. And then it just kind of like adds it all together, and you just kind of pick the cheapest way to do it. So this person's like, oh, I got overcharged from Whatnot, which probably they didn't. You know what I mean? So then they message me being like, hey, I got overcharged this amount, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, oh, okay, how much? So I reach out to Whatnot. I'm like, I have no idea if this person was overcharged or not. I can't really see it, but they're telling me they got overcharged. So if you want to take a look at it, go for it. And so they said I got a reply from Whatnot. And they tell me that they did refund this person. And so this person is like, then message me back like, oh, it still looks like it's showing the same. And I'm like, all right, well, it says it should take like 3 to 4 business days, so you probably won't see it right away. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be like, another problem. Because in the stream, we had the stream and people are like having a good time. And this person's buying a lot of stuff, not spending a ton of money, but buying a lot of stuff. And then they're like, it's charging me for each item. And everybody in the stream at that point was like, yo, it's like it calculates it at the end. Like you have to wait until you're done buying all your shit. So it was nice because like I've never had that many people like, engaged in a conversation on our stream before. So that was cool. We had that was our first kind of like, show where we had, a nice little audience and like back and forth. And we sold out. So we sold out of all. It was video games, so it's kind of easy to sell out of video games. I've been selling video games for long enough to know like how to sell certain ones. Like if there's certain ones that I don't think are going to sell for $1 each, you bundle them together. And we were selling empty boxes. And so we cleared out a ton of the video games. I still have a bunch more video games that I'm going to put up on eBay for like the holiday season. So that's like, the next step. But yeah, so that up until like 2 days ago, I wasn't sure what we were going to do for the Whatnot show for this week. We knew we wanted to do it, every week. Our birthdays are coming up in a couple weeks, so we might take that week off, but still do a gift card giveaway. So listen to the podcast. I'll let you know about that if you're interested in that. It'll just be a free giveaway. So I'm not sure. We might do a stream where we just hang out for our birthday and maybe like, do some giveaways and shoot the shit and stuff. We have some friends that want to come over and hang out on a stream. They've got a store that is kind of like in limbo right now. So I've been trying to motivate them to get over to Whatnot. So that would be cool. So yeah. Yes. And then I've got like, I just found, I bought this thing like years ago when I first started selling at an estate sale. It was like just this pile of coins, like, old foreign coins and shit. And some are from like the 1800s or early 1900s. Nothing like crazy valuable so far that we think. But my wife just decided to start like going through them. So she's been organizing them for a Whatnot in the future. So as I was trying to come up with an idea for this week's show, because it's like, it's crazy because you do have to kind of come up with like either themes or if like you're just going to do storage units and shit. But like, I just don't have the time to do the storage units with my wife. You know what I mean? Like she's got an actual job that she has to go to and people rely on her to be there for. So I buy a storage unit on a certain day and she's working, then I've got the kid, and it's just kind of difficult to do storage units. It's everything kind of has to line up for us to get one. And so like, yeah, each week we just kind of have to think of themes and try to think of like, what we have a surplus of. And, so for next week we're doing smalls and dolls, which is actually, I think that might be a good one. That'll be our first like garage sale style. That's a category that they have on there is garage sale. So that'll be the first one where we just have like everything and anything and everything. We got some glass stuff that I don't really want to put in there, but there's a ton of stuff there that like I think that will sell, and it's nice and random and like kind of fits in a certain niche. So that gives us a little bit more time to go through the coins, and then we'll get to the end of the year, and then I got to figure out taxes on this shit. So we'll see what happens with that. I've been spending a lot more money on inventory, so I'm hoping that helps. And like I'll probably do a big inventory buy before the end of the year, buy a couple storage units. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, enough about whatnot in this upcoming show tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, November 12th on Whatnot. So yeah, it is another weekend of sales. There's a sale coming up this Friday, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it work. Like I can, but it might be a huge pain in the ass. So the sale starts at 7 a.m., which is like awesome. I love sales like that on a Friday for sure. So, and there's only, it's not, you can't find it anywhere. Like it's in the place where I know nobody has seen it. Because nobody ever sees them when you put a sale there, except for me and like maybe a handful of other people. But the people that look for the stuff that I look for, they don't know to look for this stuff in here, at least so far. So it shouldn't be a ton of competition, but I've got to get my kid to school at like 8:30. So this sale starts at 7. My wife leaves for work. This is like the type of fucking high level like checkers and chess you have to play just to try to figure out if you can go to a sale sometimes. So being a stay-at-home parent and a business owner. So I would have to essentially, my plan, this is my tentative plan, is to get there early, like, leave early, get there, and then get the kids to school. So I would have to get everything set the night before, like clean up, get everything ready to go, get lunches packed, and then go to this sale crazy early. But then I'd have to I'd be an early bird for sure. But then my kids would just be in the car, early morning. They might, if I just get everything ready and do like a sweats day for my daughter, like, cause she's just gonna go to school. Just put her in sweatpants and sweatshirts for the day. She never wears sweats to school. She fucking hates it. She likes to dress up and look proper, but I'll be like, listen, you're gonna wear this fucking sweatsuit. So I'm gonna try to make it to that. That's the tough part. Like every once in a while there's a sale that I'm like, man, I want to go to that sale. It should be a good one. Like just, by all accounts, based on what I've seen. I mean, sometimes there's some outside forces. Actually, I'm starting to remember some things. I might not even end up going to this sale now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm starting to remember this lady. I might have to go back and look at some of my messages and see. I might have been to this sale with this lady before, and their prices were crazy high, and I wasted my time going out there. I think that it's the same lady now that I'm remembering it. It's crazy how sometimes I just discover shit on this podcast as I'm talking about it. I went to a sale a little while back. It wasn't too long ago. It might have been at the beginning of the season. And this lady had posted a sale, at collectibles, this, that, and the other. And then when I got there, it was like this guy who... he was selling stuff basically, like he knew the prices of everything. They had a bunch of good shit, but the prices were crazy high. And then they had like a ton, the prices weren't bad, but he had like a ton of these Jurassic Park toys. I thought they were all vintage, but they were all like the new the reproduction ones from like a few years back. And they were like the cheap shit you get at like Ollie's. So I think it's that guy, because he had like this old lady who posted the sale the last time, and I was like, oh, this will be cool. It's just an old lady who's not going to know too much. And it's not like I'm trying to take advantage. It's just like if you come yard selling where I'm at, people are you're not really, you don't need to worry about the people where I'm at. Like they're fucking trying to charge out the ass at the yard sale. So I don't worry about people trying to take advantage of other people. I'm just saying that typically their pricing is more realistic, is what I meant to say. If you're not like but she knows, if she posted that she's got all this fucking crazy shit, that it's probably, so who knows? This is like the dance this time of year. You're like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? That'd be a good podcast for resellers. Is it worth it? You fucking read you read the the description of a sale, and you have to decide if it's worth it or if it's not worth it. And then after you go to it, and then you find out if it was actually worth it or not. Yeah, that would only work for a select group of people. But so yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out. I'll let you know if I make it to it. We'll see. If I want to torture my kids and drag them to a sale, that's potentially going to be a waste of my time. So, and it's crazy too, when they have a 7 a.m. start time, you would hope that they would be open earlier than that, like just because they're like, oh fuck, we're going to be early, ready to go. But who knows? I still remember I went to that sale that time. It was like 6 a.m. start time. That was the earliest I've ever been to out here. It was 6 a.m. start time. I got there I had to get there early because my wife was leaving for work that day too. But I got there like 5:15, 5:20, something like that. And I just had to leave by like 5:45, 5:50 to get, you know what I mean? So I only had like 25 minutes to search if they were open. Luckily they were open. And like the reason they were doing them that early was because they were from Arizona, and they were like, if you don't do your yard sale this early, it's going to be too fucking hot and nobody's going to come. So they were used to that shit. And I was all about it. Yeah, anytime you do a super early sale, I'm going to be there. Sometimes I've learned to avoid, like, a lot of the 7 a.m. sales are like fucking the people that, like, you know, the junkers and like scrappers and shit like that, and like the people that just like they want eBay prices for their stuff because that, you know, I don't know where people come up with that logic, but like some lady that recently was like, she's like, yeah, it sells for like 35 on eBay, so would you do 20 on it? I'm like, where the fuck does that math work? Like, so yeah, people have this weird, like, nobody has ever done like a financial class or like you know, a business class or anything like that, where they're just like, they just assume that the value of the item is like determined by I don't even know where I'm going with this. Like, for example, my mom was telling me about, like, she's like, oh, you should watch Antiques Roadshow. And she's like, they're talking about video games. And like, so I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, are they like, what were they talking about? She's like, oh, like, you know, how to look up if you've got like a rare one, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm like, well, what are they using to look it up? Like, what is their basis for value of these games? And she's like, well, you know, and she couldn't really tell me how they were looking this thing up, which means that, like, she's like, well, one guy was an expert. I'm like, well, yeah, you can be an expert on this stuff, but like, it's a market. Like, it's not like this video game will forever be worth this amount always. Like, games fluctuate. And but yeah, people don't really understand that. They're just like, yeah, this game is worth this, is worth this, this is worth this. I don't even know how I got off on that fucking tangent. I'm sorry. It's just that time of the year when you have to you got to kind of talk about shit that doesn't really pertain to your business to kind of fill the space on this podcast until all the exciting shit starts happening. So yeah, this week I've been, because we've got this whatnot sale tonight for the plushies. I've been sending out lowball offers on plush today and yesterday on Facebook Marketplace. That's the thing, man. You can't get fucking deals on Marketplace. You used to be able to get stuffed animals like regularly on Marketplace for cheap. Now everybody thinks that they're gonna get top dollar. And then of course I was on there all day yesterday, fucking all day, made lunch for me and my kid and my family, and then go back on after making lunch because I had to, like, you know, take a fucking break from checking every 2 seconds. And there's a sick plush lot right in my price range, not far, and it's already pending. I'm like, God fucking damn it, dude. This is so frustrating. Like, no. And then I look, and like these people that have had these plush lots up on Marketplace for like months, I started sending out like lowball offers, like not even lowball offers, like what appropriate offers for plush that you're buying from Facebook Marketplace. Like, Marketplace is not eBay. That, you know, People think that it's just because it's online, it's like eBay. It's like, it's not. Especially if you're local pickup only, you're getting as much traffic as like your own little tiny reach is going to get you. Whereas eBay has access to millions and millions of fucking people. And it's not even like I love eBay. It's like eBay fucking sucks dick. But at least, at least if you're selling on eBay, you kind of have an idea of the prices of things. When you're selling on Marketplace, I have no fucking idea where people get some of the prices for their stuff. And it's like, it used to be like once a week I could find something, and now it's like there's nothing. If something pops up that's worth something, you really have to get lucky. Like occasionally I'll wake up early and I'll check because I check right away when I first wake up, just to see like if anything got posted not too long ago. And that's the times I'll get lucky these days. But yeah, it's really annoying. Now I'm going to check fucking right now because I'm afraid that I'm going to be missing out on something. It's crazy though. So yeah, this past weekend was, there was like, a couple of sales, nothing mind blowing. There was one sale that was like an estate/garage sale. And that one I was hopeful for. And when I showed up, they'd already started letting people pick, which was nice. You always like to see that. And they had just like a shitload of stuff. I'm talking like bins and boxes. It was all like women's clothes and like, they had some decent brands, but it wasn't anything that I really wanted to, take my time right now to deal with. And it wasn't like something I really wanted to do a whatnot auction for. And the price point, I wasn't really sure was going to be there. So like, I wasn't really sure what their pricing was going to be like. They had some jackets hanging. It was like, J. Crew. And there was one that you could tell was vintage, like, whether it was like pre Y2K or not, like it was still at least around that time period. So like I asked the lady, I was like, oh, how much for your your old jackets here? She goes, old? These aren't old. And I go, well, I mean, it's kind of old. Like, and she's like, this is J. Crew. So I was like, all right, just the way she's like talking about this shit. And this was somebody's stuff. Like this was a family member stuff. So like, I get it. You're trying to hype this shit up in your head. You're like, oh, she had all this stuff that was worth some shit. And so she's like, oh, that one I would do like $50 for. And I look up online, like even ones that were saying vintage in the title were like, between 50 and 60. Some of them were going for higher, but like a lot of them were going for less. And so it was like, all right, that price is a little out of touch, but there's so much stuff, you have to be able to make a deal. So I started picking through, and she's got like bags and stuff everywhere, like purses. So I found some decent purses. I started throwing them in my IKEA bag. And then there was some scarves, and I started going through theirs, and I know to look for like, Hermes. That's the only scarf that I really know. There was like a couple other ones that I looked up to see if they were worth anything, but like nothing really. And so I finally there was this one scarf I had picked up, and like, I was like, oh, that looks like it could be something that like might be Hermes or something. And I didn't see Hermes anywhere on it, and I put it back in the pile, and I'm digging through. And then all of a sudden I saw like a scarf that said Paris on it. And so I know that Hermes is from France. So I'm like, oh shit, like, let me see. And I grabbed it. It was a scarf I'd already looked at and put down. So I'm like, oh fuck. So then I look on the other part, like a different part that I hadn't looked at before. I was looking for like a tag, I think. So I looked on the artwork and it said Hermes. And I'm like, oh, and then sure enough, there was the tag and all that shit. So I was like, oh, I just didn't look hard enough. So I found my first Hermes scarf, and those ones look like they have some decent comps. So I threw that in my bag. And then I had like some Coach bags, Dooney Bork. The ones that she was like refusing to go down in price on were Michael Kors. She made deals on like the Coach. Like, so at first she was like, her prices was out of control. She's like, yeah, I wanted like $30 to $50 for each bag. I was like, well, most of these are old like Coach bags that are like, pretty beat up. Like, And that they were, and I would have to either wash them or like, sell them as is. And so I was like, I would do like 5 a piece since I'm buying all of these, you know what I mean? And she like wouldn't do the Michael Kors ones at 5 a piece. She went down a little bit on the other ones. Like we ended up coming to a good deal, but it's always so weird what people value. Like the Michael Kors, I'm like, this is all like TJ Maxx shit. Like you're charging almost more than what they charge at TJ Maxx for this shit that like isn't real. This is beat up. And you're charging like the same amount for this shit that you can get brand new right now at TJ Maxx. Like this isn't vintage. It's not like special. And when I tell you they had boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes, it was like if somebody puts me in that position and they're a family member and I don't do this regularly, I'm not fucking charging more than $5 for anything. If I just want it gone, like if you think that you're going to do this for a little bit and do it as a side hustle, then sure. But if you're like, oh, I want this stuff gone. And that's the thing. The ad was like, everything must go. You know what I mean? And this chick is just like not selling stuff. I'm sure if I went back later in the day, but like 90% of the shit that she had was just bullshit. It's like one of those houses where you go to, and if you're a reseller and you resell enough and you go to enough sales, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can tell you can kind of tell by somebody's clothes, like if you can find anything worth reselling, or B, if it's like 90% like, just going to be TJ Maxx bullshit. You know what I mean? Like shit that like Brahmin, I think the Brahmin, it's like a bag, cheap ass bags that like they try to sell for a bunch of money or whatever. So yeah, you can kind of tell, what type of, like, if there's going to be something worth digging for. And it was mostly like, it was kind of like 50-50 on this one. It was hard to tell. It was like, there was some good shit and then some really not so good shit. And then the prices that was what was fucking with me. It was because like the prices were just so ridiculous. It's like people are making piles. It's like, just fucking make some deals, dude. You're going to sell this shit quicker. People were starting to put stuff back. But yeah, that Herbie scarf, I paid up obviously on some of the stuff because I was like, all right, whatever. I've got this scarf. I know I can make a little bit of money on it. I got to get it authenticated. But I mean, from everything I've looked at, it looks like it's legit. So then I went to 2 other sales. So that sale started at 8. And my mom agreed to take both of my kids this weekend because I was like, my youngest is not gonna want to fucking do like the estate sale type days, you know what I mean? Because the estate sale, she's got to kind of stay in the car while I fucking run in real quick. And I don't like to do that unless it's like I'm out there and I could see the car. So on estate sale days, I don't really want to bring her unless I absolutely have to, because then I have to bring her in. And everybody's like, oh, this fucking person bringing their goddamn kid. But she's a little older now, so she probably could have. So she ended up going and staying with my mom this time. And so I was like, all right, sweet. There's like 4 sales, I think, total. So that one started at 8, and then the other 3 started at 10, which fucking really is annoying. So I was like, all right, I'll drive like around kind of in a circle. And then like, hit the sale back on the way back to my house. There's one in town that was probably the best sale that was advertised, but it was an estate sale company. And like those type of companies get regulars. So I would have had to go crazy early and wait. And like, I just couldn't do that with my mom watching my kids. She won't get up that early. That's why Friday I'm like kind of fucked because she won't get up early. She's not like an early riser. Old people, when they get older, they like start getting up early. Like I'll get up to get my kids up in the morning, or like get up to piss in the morning. And my neighbor, like in the summer, will be outside fucking doing yard work. She's like an old retired lady. And no, not my mom. She's like, I'll call her at like 8:30 and I'll be like, did I just wake you up? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing with your day? You're an adult, dude. Get up. She just fucking does not want to get up. So I went to the first one at 8 o'clock. I got there a little early. That one was The sale I was just talking about with all the purses and shit. And then there was 2 more sales. There was one 15 minutes away and then 15 minutes from that. So I was like, I'll just go to Boom 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 and hope that those ones are started. So I went to the next one. There was no signs of life. There was an estate sale sign, but you could tell the estate sale was there, but there was no cars at the place. There was no lights on. So there was nobody there at this house for this estate sale. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to wait around to this one. And they also had a sign that said new items added, under their sign. So I'm like, oh, they've already done this. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to skip out on this one. Went to another one that was a 10 o'clock open. Got there at 9:30. There was nothing there. No signs of life. And then finally went back to the one that was the company that started at 8. And I was like, all right, I'll go there. All the resellers have already left and shit. And I got there and it was still pretty busy. They had a cop detail there. When I pulled up to park, the cop told me to move, even though it wasn't a fucking no parking sign. I'm like, there's no parking. It doesn't say anything about not parking here, but it was a neighbor and I get it. I don't want to fucking piss the neighbor off. So he just showed me where I could park. So I go in, and this place has been completely picked over. There was one thing that I had seen in the pictures that I was hoping was still going to be there, but it's not even anything crazy valuable. It was one of those, why can't I, Sky Dancers. It's one of those recalled vintage toys. I don't know if it was a Barbie line, but they were Sky Dancers, these little fucking things that they would shoot the little doll out of the thing, and it was fucking taking out little girls' eyes and catching their hair or something. I don't remember. Maybe I'm thinking of 2 different things, but I know it was banned and it's not, you can't sell it on eBay or anywhere. So that was there, and I was hoping, that would have been a cool thing to try to sell on Instagram or something. So, yeah, that was gone. And so I walked in, and they had a whole Lionel train set up, and I asked what they were asking on it, and they're they're each individual, but you can make an offer on the whole thing. So I'm I fucking hate when estate sale companies do that, because it's just, you're in a fucking estate sale company. You get paid to price this shit, and you're not doing that. That fucking drives me nuts when there's an estate sale company that's make an offer. No, motherfucker. You come up with the price, and then I'll make an offer based on that price. How about that? How about you do your fucking job that you got paid to do? You're getting paid to fucking price this shit and sell this shit for somebody, and you're not even fucking doing your due diligence, which is fucking drives me nuts. So they're yeah, just make an offer on this stuff. So I go, I don't know. I just took a picture of it I was going to make an offer later. But anytime they say that, it's it's an estate sale company. So they could be oh, whatever. And I'm sure they already have a deal with somebody to come take it if, they get a lowball offer. So I just said, fuck it. I left. I should have gone back after, but whatever. I didn't really want to. I don't like dealing with trains. I've only done okay with them on Craigslist. We had somebody come from 3 hours away from Craigslist to buy some trains at one point, but I don't really deal with them a lot. They're not really something I like to deal with. And so, yeah, I kept walking around there, though. They had some other stuff. They had this one doll that I grabbed. It was $2. I posted it on my Instagram. And it was Gabriel Toys, which I've sold some certain Gabriel toys. So, I know that's a name brand from back in the day. It was a Gabriel Daisy doll, and it was something Mary Quant. And I guess... So I didn't know who that was. I posted an Instagram saying I didn't know who it was. And my mom sends me a text. She goes, do you even know who Mary Quant was? I'm no, that was the whole point of the Instagram post. Did you read the Instagram post? I have no idea who she is. That's why I grabbed it, and it was a gamble, because I said that I had no idea what it was or who she was. And so then she goes, oh, okay. And I go, are you going to tell me what she was? Are you going to tell me who she did, why I should know who she is? And she's oh, she was a British clothing designer. But all I could find was like sold ones that were opened for like 150 to 200. None listed at all for sealed ones. I couldn't find any sealed ones comped. So I'm hoping to get like a pretty penny. I mean, I'm still waiting to sell that goddamn t-shirt. Somebody's gonna buy that shit soon. It's at like $6,000 right now. So it's getting close to what I was hoping for. But I'm hoping to get some interest soon. I need to touch it so I get those good reseller vibes. But anyway, yeah. So these dolls apparently go for a lot of money. So I got to figure out like a price point, because if it's rare to find them like that, you never know. So it's could be some decent money in them. But yeah, that was still there when I got to that sale. And then I walked upstairs, and I had seen this Mickey Mouse stuffed animal in the picture, and I never buy Mickey. Like, I occasionally will buy a Mickey Mouse plush. It has to be like cool shit, or like Halloween related, or it has to be something really like cool. Like, I won't just buy a vintage Mickey Mouse plush anymore because nobody fucking wants them. Nobody. And this thing was the biggest fucking stuffed animal I've ever seen in my life. It was like 4.5 feet long. Like, it was a person. And they had it marked at 25. And I was like, nobody's going to buy this. Not a single person. So I offered him 15, the guy who was running the estate sale. And he's like, yeah, I'll take it. So I was like, all right, sweet. So I kept looking around. I put my sold sticker on it. I was like, don't forget that fucking thing. I got to go back and get that stupid thing. And so I finished shopping, grabbed a few things, and I go pay out. And then I have to go fucking bring this thing out to the car. And so I have to like throw him over my shoulder, like while I'm carrying him, like legit had to hold it like it was a person. It was 4.5 feet, whatever, tall, but it was like maybe 24, 25 pounds. Like, it's not like super heavy, but it's just awkward because it's like a body, like a limp body. Just, and so as I walked out, people are giving me like fucking looks and shit. Not like giving me like looks, but just, anytime somebody buys something wild at an estate sale, everybody goes, oh, that's the fucking idiot who bought that. Yeah, that's the fucking dumb fuck who bought the giant Mickey Mouse. And so yeah, I carried it out, and there was the cop doing detail was outside, and I had like said something. I just made small talk as I was walking in, to let him know I wasn't annoyed that he told me to move. But I was just like, has it been busy? I was just curious because I'm like, I kind of want to know what I was walking into. And he's like, oh yeah, it's been pretty busy, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, well, hopefully I still find something, whatever. So when I came out, I had Mickey like fucking over my shoulder. And he goes, oh, Mickey Mouse. I go, yeah, he was like this when I found him. He didn't really get it or think it was funny. Some cops have a sense of humor. This guy didn't. He was not like he didn't have a sense of humor. He was like being very friendly and shit. I just think it went over his head. You know what I mean? Some cops aren't the smartest. And I have friends and family that are cops, and like, not every cop is the same, but some of them are not the fucking brightest. So he was very nice, but he just did not understand where the fuck I was. Like, he's like, what? I was just like, dude, that was a fucking funny joke. Like a dead body, like I fucking murdered this fuck. Yeah. So I took my girls. So Saturday ended up being like, it was raining in the morning after the yard sale. So that was the last sale I went to. I finished up there, and then I went back to the house. And in the morning, it was rainy and cold. Not even cold. It was rainy, but it was actually warm. So as soon as I got back to the house to pick up my kids were next door at my mom's. And I picked them up, and I'm like, oh, it's fucking nice out. Like, the sun started coming out right as we got home. So we had lunch, and I was like, all right, let's have some lunch. We'll go out, and then we'll go to this. There's like a little area not far from the house. There was a free pile that had been posted. So I was like, we'll hit this free pile, and on the way back, we'll swing by and hit this little, it's like a hiking area. There's like a 0.2 mile hike, a 0.6 mile hike, a 1 mile hike. So we go to the free pile. It's fucking bullshit. There's nothing there. So I'm like, all right, let's go back. We'll go hiking. We get to the hiking spot around 3:15. So we maybe have like an hour and a half before it starts getting dark, like plenty of time. So it's just me and my 2 girls, and there's a couple cars in the parking lot. So we, drive down, park, go over to the map, and there's these 2 ladies. There's like a lady, probably a middle-aged lady, and then her daughter is probably like in her 20s. So my oldest sees them walking down the trail, and she's just like screams. She's like, "Follow those ladies." I'm like, "No, dude, we're not following fucking ladies." So we check the map, and like I see the different trails. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna go up this way, and like we'll follow this around. So I'm like, thinking there'll be other maps and shit, but that was it for maps. There was no other maps. And the trails were small enough. I just didn't want to end up on the 1 mile trail and then be stuck like carrying them back to the fucking car, like, backtracking a bunch. So you go over this little bridge. There's like some cool shit to look at, and like creeks and all this like waterfalls. So we, the girls are running around throwing sticks and rocks and shit, having a good time. And we're out of the house, which is nice. We've been stuck in the house. It's been fucking nasty weather out recently. So then we follow the trail. We get to the trail, and I see a sign. I'm like, all right, 0.2 miles. I'm like, all right, sweet. We'll just follow it. And you couldn't really miss the trail. So I'm like, all right, we're going the right way. Run into these ladies again. And my kids are still like, let's follow them. I'm like, no, that's not why we're here. But as we're walking through, there's like, I find like a Natty Ice, like if you weren't ever in college, Natty Ice was like some cheap beer that like kids would drink because it was cheaper than Bud Light. It was fucking disgusting. Natty Ice, Keystone Light, or Natty Ice and Keystone. Those were the 2. Keystone Light and then Natty Light. Those were the. But this was like a Natty Tall Boy. So this was like a fucking big can of natural ice, Natty Ice as they call it. And it was like their like malt liquor. So it was like not just regular beer. It was like fucking souped up malt liquor, like crackhead beer. And so I was like, all right, let's grab this can, like, trying to show the girls like, hey, let's take this trash out of the woods because, we want to keep the woods clean. The woods are clean. We don't want to bring shit in. I know we didn't bring this in, but we're going to do a good thing and take it out. So like, yeah, let's take it, blah, blah, blah. So we're walking, I'm carrying this fucking thing. I get all the way back to the bridge that we first started on. And I realize there's like some nasty shit hanging out of this fucking thing. I'm like, ew, gross. It was like a loogie or something. So I go to smack it on the bridge to knock that shit off real quick. And the first time I tapped it onto the thing, it slips completely out of my hands. It just pops out and falls into the fucking river below. And I just go, oh my God. Like, well, that's much worse. I tell my kids. I'm like, all right, kids. They're like, oh no. I'm like, yeah, I know we tried to do something good and we made it much worse. I'm like, sometimes that's what happens. You try to be helpful and you make it much worse. So we had to sit there and watch this fucking can go down this whole river. I was like, oh, God damn it. So I'm hoping it, like, there's a little area at the bottom where like the water runs up to like the thing. I'm hoping it like gets caught up on the beach there and somebody can grab it. But yeah, I was telling my wife that story and she was like, what, you ran into somebody with a natural Natty Ice can and they thought you were getting hammered with your kids in the woods? I was like, no, that would be much worse. But yeah, it was a sick spot. The kids didn't want to stop. They were like not really done walking and hiking. So we're supposed to go there again. I mean, it's tough, man, because it's the time of the year where it's like, oh, it was nice today, and then tomorrow is fucking freezing. So we'll see. We shall see. Oh yeah, I never finished talking about that problematic Whatnot user. So yeah, this person fucking reaches out on the stream and is complaining that they're like, oh, the prices are what blah 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 blah. Then they reach out and tell me that like Whatnot, that they were charged extra. So I reach out to Whatnot, blah blah. So then they say that they still didn't get refunded, blah blah blah. And I just figured out the last part. So then they received the item. This was just recently. They received the item and they messaged me saying that a game that I just tested like the day before. I tested all the games except for ones that I didn't have the consoles for. And they tried to tell me that this game didn't work. And so I'm like, well, you can. It's like I just tested it. Right? That was one of the last games I tested. I'm sorry to hear that. So you can always try like Q-tip and some alcohol. And if that doesn't work, you should be able to return the game for a refund. So as soon as I said return the game for a refund, I haven't heard back from them. And I actually thought I had sent a message, and then it like said that message not sent. I was like, oh shit, did I not send it? So I sent it, and then it showed that there was 2 messages sent. So I had sent the same message to them in 24 hours, and they didn't respond to either of them. So I don't know if they're gonna pop back up and do whatever, but yeah, they were somebody I could just tell, like, from the get-go, like, because a lot of times you have people that'll ask about shipping, and then they legit won't know. They'll just buy like one thing, and they'll be like, oh fuck, like I'm not gonna buy anymore because it's showing that it's charging me per item. And I don't think that like, I think this person knew, they had bought a bunch of shit. It's like that's a big difference between like, oh, I'm buying a bunch of shit, and like, oh, I like, does it charge you individually and then you stop buying? Like if you're buying a ton of shit and then you're like, oh yeah, does this charge me individually? It's like, no, dude, you gotta know. And then you look at their profile and like, oh, you've been buying on here for years. Like, you know how this works. So, but, oh yeah, then I want to tell a quick story. Jacob, I don't know if he'll hear this maybe later. He doesn't, I think he catches up like weeks later. But Jacob from the podcast, our yearly, which I don't know, did we do the yearly one earlier this year or was it last year? I think it was earlier this year. I'm hoping that we can keep it once a year because we're not going to be able to do another podcast this year with Jacob. I'm hoping next year I can do one. But Jacob called me, and I'm sure he'll be okay with me telling this story. So Jacob called me, and him and his wife were going out to this spot. They live like out in the middle of nowhere in Washington, and they were going out to this like hiking spot, but they went at night, which come on, bro. That's silly. So we went out to this spot, and it was like a spot they've taken us. They did whatever, we're fucking around, hanging out. And then they went back to their truck, realized his wife forgot her vape, because you can't go anywhere with a woman without her leaving her fucking shit somewhere. Every time my wife puts her phone down, it's like it enters a portal and then it gets transferred somewhere else where she just completely forgets about it. It's crazy. Like, the fact that women don't have pockets, they just don't know how to function. It's like, and I don't understand why. Like, it's not even that they don't have pockets. They just don't, like, use them. Like, my wife will wear sweatpants with pockets, and she's still like, where's my phone? So I feel for my friend Jacob, because I know that he was probably like fucking he probably wasn't irate because he's not like me. He's not like a fucking piece of shit, but he probably was just like, fuck, I gotta go back for this vape. So then they went back to get the vape, and then on the way back again to the truck, they got lost at night in the woods, like really in the woods. And so they, couldn't find it for a bit. I'm probably butchering the story. I'm going to have him come on and tell it. But so long story short, he made her stop and stay where she was. And he was walking in like larger and larger circles around her until he basically found the trail. I was like, I would have never thought to do that. But he was trying to conserve batteries, so she had to stand there in the middle of the pitch black, like without a flashlight. So I don't know how he saw her. Like, he must have like shined the light just to make sure she was still there. But yeah, man, I would not. I mean, I would have gone out in there if he had asked me to go at night to the woods. I was like, no, fuck no. And he knows the woods, you know what I mean? He's not like one of these people that's like just fucking out in the woods and shit. Like, he doesn't know. Like, he's familiar with the woods, so like he knows what he's doing. But like, yeah, you shouldn't fucking go out there regardless. Like yeah, don't go out there at night, especially like if you're like buzzing and shit. You just, yeah. So that's what I just thought of, that story with us walking around. It was funny because it was the day I brought my kids to the woods. You know what I mean? We hadn't been out on a hike in a while, and it was just funny. He called and told me that story. I just wanted to follow up on something that's not really related to the podcast. Was it maybe last week or the week before? I don't remember. I had talked about the Bruce Springsteen movie that was coming out with Lip from Shameless. The fuck else was he in? The Bear. And I had said, like, I don't think that anybody is going to want to see this movie. It wasn't just, because it's Bruce Springsteen. Like, they made that Bob Dylan movie. It's like, who is this for? But yeah, so like, when the Bruce Springsteen movie, I think I was on here and I was talking about how I'm like, who is this for? Like, nobody's going to want to see a movie about Bruce Springsteen. Like, his music was not great. Neither him nor Bob Dylan. I like Bob Dylan more than I like Bruce Springsteen, but, the music just wasn't like, he hasn't been really relevant since the 80s. Like, he had that song, The Rising during 9/11, and then he had that good song from the Wrestler soundtrack. So he had a couple like decent songs, but like, yeah, I don't know who was like, which story we need for which musician's story we need is Bruce Springsteen. So I was just randomly thinking about it because, once these movies flop now, you don't really see like the commercials again. Like, it'll be the movie releases and then that's it. Like, and I kept seeing like previews for this movie. Like, I kept seeing all types of teasers like, oh, this movie's coming out. And the entire time I'm like, nobody's going to see this fucking movie. Like, it could be a great movie, but nobody's going to care that story. Nobody gives a shit about that story. And so yeah, I had to look it up because I'm like, did it flop? Like, was I right? And I was right. It like fucking sold like 8 million or something like that. And they spent like 55 million to make it. So like, they're not even like a fraction of the way making up their money. So it's just nice to be right about things culturally. You know what I mean? Like, there's a Michael Jackson movie coming up soon, and it looks kind of goofy, but I guess it's got like his nephew or something plays him. I think his name is Jafar, which is kind of fucking crazy. He's the villain in Aladdin. But he wears some goofy prosthetics and shit in the movie, in the trailer and shit, which I'm sure they'll clean it up. But that movie looks fucking awesome. Like, that's a movie I want to see. Like, the Michael Jackson story, fuck yeah, I'd love to see that story. Like, I'm sure it's going to be sensationalized and, but like, that's a movie, like, that's somebody that you should make a movie about. Like, compare the last 3 biopics of musicians. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if there was another one, but there was the Bob Dylan one. Then there was the Bruce Springsteen one. And now there's the Michael Jackson one. Of those 3, I can guarantee you, I'm going to call my shot right now, that the Michael Jackson one will do better than both of those movies combined, probably their entire theatrical run, and it will do it in its first weekend. I can almost guarantee you that. I can guarantee. Mark this episode. I think it's 85. What episode is it? I think it's episode 85 at like the 53:10 mark. Mark it. That the Michael Jackson movie, even with the goofy prosthetics in the fucking and then the trailer, even with that, and the the not so nice accusations against Michael Jackson, even with those, people will still go out to see. Like, I would go out to see that movie. I'm not even like, I love Michael Jackson's music. I'm not like a Michael Jackson fan. I wasn't like a Michael Jackson fan growing up. I don't know all his words or anything like that. But even I would have to say, like, that's a movie I would go see. Like, that's gonna be a blockbuster movie, like a summer movie. Bruce Springsteen, the fuck are we doing here? The guy who pretends to be blue collar. This guy is like, oh, I'm blue collar. Like, the guy who like does Obama's birthdays and shit. Like that fucking guy. I might be thinking of Pearl Jam now, but it's just funny when these like people that haven't been relevant, or like, it's like they made all their money in the fucking 80s and then have just been rich ever since. And they're like, I'm a fucking blue collar guy. My name is Bruce Springsteen. 9/11 was bad. Like, who the fuck is gonna go see that movie? I'm sorry, but that was fucking so stupid. I'm pretty sure, I can't tell if I'm like shadow banned or something on eBay. I haven't had any sales the last few days. I had that issue with this person who like returned that bag, and they said that it was, the wrong bag, even though it wasn't. But they returned it and it looked like it was used. Like, I had stains on it that weren't there before. I looked at the pictures. I'm like, oh, so like now I have to report this as like being stained. Oh, hold on one second. I'll be right up in a second. Hold on. Fucking kid, I've got like 5 minutes left of this podcast and she's calling me for something. She probably shit in her pants again. Probably not, though. She just shit a little while ago, but I'm going to go up there in a minute. My daughter gets these books from the library. If you've got a kid and they're like, I think it's up to age 5, like age 1 to age 5, the library will send you more books than you need for free. And like, it's from Dolly Parton, like it's her program or something. So they put her picture on like in the back. So it's just a picture of like old Dolly Parton with her giant hair and giant titties. My kid like knows who Dolly Parton is from these pictures. And so she's like, yeah, Dolly Parton. She's like, she looks like she's got cheese for hair. She calls her the lady with the cheese hair now. So every time we talk about Dolly Parton, she just starts cracking up about her cheese hair. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that's a wig. Like, I don't think that's I don't think that's her actual hair. I'm pretty sure that's a wig. Like, and then, yeah, we watched a couple of her music videos and she's talking about how it's a wig. So I don't know where I was going with that. And then the last thing I have here for this show, this is just a random. So I was going to check out the other day, and I don't. It's crazy. I've talked about this before. Like, if you're in the self checkout line, which like is the majority of like places open now, there's just more lanes in the self checkout line. You'll go to a store and there'll be 2 checkout lanes, and then like one. Then just a bunch of them open in the self-checkout. So most of the time people are like trained to go to the self-checkout. So even if there are multiple lines open, I've noticed this phenomena. People don't go to those lines. Like, I was standing there and I'm like, oh, there's multiple lines open. And I'm looking and there's nobody in those lines. So I go over and, I jump in the line. And still nobody follows me. Nobody even like looks and goes, hey, they're just like all just trained to just stay in this fucking long ass line and do their own groceries. So I go over and I'm like, waiting in line. I don't have that many groceries. And I go through the thing. And as I'm waiting to get up to pay, I look, and in the section where they have like the impulse buys, like the candy and the chips and all that shit, they've now got mayo style dips. That's what it said on it. It was like Hellman's mayo style dips. So it was like ranch flavored mayo style dip. And then whatever the fuck other flavor they had, it was like some olive oil ranch flavored dip. It was fucking, I'm like, are we serious? You have dips, condiments at the impulse buy section? Like, and then they had moved the rotisserie chickens to the self-checkout at one point. I'm like, are they not selling enough of this shit in the aisles that they belong? Like, why is there mayo style dips at the fucking checkout? I don't understand it. On that note, I'm going to finish up the podcast. Don't forget to check us out if you're listening to this when this episode first comes out on Wednesday, November 12th. Check us out tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on Whatnot. If you're not signed up for Whatnot yet, you can check one of my posts. I think there's a post up there that should have the link to sign up, and you get $15 to spend on the show. We got plush this week. We've got smalls and dolls next week. We'll be doing coins in a few weeks. So we've got some shows coming up. Make sure you check that out. Subscribe to the podcast if you are liking this podcast. Tell your friends. And then, yeah, that's it. Follow me on Instagram, Perry Flips with a Z. And we'll be back again next week. I feel like there was something else I was supposed to say, but I don't really remember. So that's the podcast. Thanks again, and I'll check back with you next week. Bye.